Day 3 of Raptors training camp from the University of Victoria. Toronto Raptors getting set to open the preseason on October 2nd in Edmonton against the Utah Jazz. This is day 3. It'll culminate Friday with a scrimmage at the Save-On Food Center when the Raptors go at it amongst each other before heading to Edmonton. Paul Jones inside the gym at the University of Victoria, and look what the wind blew in. My radio broadcast partner Eric Smith and E, we've both been here all week, and we're watching the development of this team, a very cohesive unit as they start training camp, basically hitting the ground running.
Yeah, really. I mean, you talk about how much these guys, Jonesy, worked with each other over the course of the summer, and you can see it. We saw it even from day one here, just the chemistry that already exists. And I think it's not just from those summer runs, also the carryover from last year. Because if you think back to last season, how many new faces, new bodies? This year, 13 returning players. And I think that really just kind of instilled that growth from the get-go. You already know the plays, you already know the system, you already know your teammates, and I think it's adding to what we've seen then over these first 3 days.
Your best players are going to have to carry you. We've already heard from Fred VanVleet earlier in the training camp. Pascal Siakam, you'll hear from him today, and he had some people might call it bold statements at Media Day when he said he wanted to be a top 5 player. Certainly a goal that's attainable. The guy's been all NBA twice in his career, so that's something that he can keep pushing towards, and we're seeing that a lot from him as a leader in training camp.
You know, and the big thing with me, Jonesy, is the type of leader that he is as well, and the fact that he even acknowledged today, and you are going to hear it, that he's not really a vocal guy, but sometimes those are the better leaders, I think, because if there's a leader, and listen, this is not to generalize everybody, but the guy that talks a lot, the person that talks a lot, well, do you always back it up? And do you always actually practice what you preach, as opposed to the type of leader that is showing you by doing it? And Pascal is a shower and a doer. And I think that we oftentimes, whether it's fans, media, or otherwise, I think we get lost sometimes or caught up in, well, a leader is the guy that's pounding the chest and getting into the huddle and really barking and yelling. No, not necessarily. That doesn't make you a leader. If you show and set that example, I think that's as much a leader. And the only thing I would pick, nitpick a little bit with Pascal is, I don't want to put a number, because you know what? What if you end up being so damn good that you're top 3?
Yeah.
Or what if you're actually top 7? Are you feeling like you're no good because you didn't make it to top 5? Just be the best darn player you can be and improve upon last year, and don't set any kind of number.
Well, and I think that's the key for Pascal. He saw how far the team went last year, the bitter disappointment at the end in losing to Philadelphia, and to a man, and with him as the leader, I'm sure they felt they could have gotten past that hump if things had been a little bit different. They put the work in, they've improved this summer. We're in training camp. Let's hear from Pascal Siakam.
After all these training camps, how do you approach them to keep things fresh for yourself?
I think it's fresh for me this year, because last year I didn't get to do that. So just having the opportunity to be back out there again, having a training camp, like a full kind of training camp, it just makes it exciting, and yeah, that's kind of like what I needed, to be honest.
Have you missed 2 days?
Not really, but it is exciting, like just going back to it, and it kind of reminds me of like rookie year and all those times.
You mentioned the top 5 thing on Media Day. What does being a player of that quality, what does that mean to you? Like, what do you need to do more of in order to be that type of player, I guess?
I don't think I need to explain myself when, I said what I said.
What gets you there, though? Like, is there one area of your game that you've identified as, if I take a jump in this area, that's what gets me?
I just got to be a better player. And I think we got to win as a team, which I think for me, that's what I'm focused on. Obviously, how it goes individually, but I think all that don't matter until we get to a point where we're top 3 team in the league, or we up there. So all that will come with everything else, and yeah.
I know you weren't participating at this time in camp last year, but just being around at that point, does it feel like you guys are further ahead this year now, just based on the continuity and the familiarity that you have with guys coming back?
Yeah, no, for sure. Obviously, we added a couple of pieces, but the main kind of chorus is, we did it last year, and I think everyone's just excited having everyone together, right now. and yeah, it makes it a little easier that we know the plays, some of the plays. Obviously, we're adding some stuff, but for the most part, like the main things that we do, we all kind of know it, so it's easier to bring everybody else along and just have that, you know.
You heard from Pascal Siakam, Eric, another guy that people looked at last year, and he couldn't really give everything. He just seemed to have the injury bug jump on his back and not leave him, and that was Khem Birch. He's coming into camp even now after surgery, but he's one of those guys, one of the key role players, a guy that does the dirty work that you're going to have to count on at some point this season.
Yeah, I don't want to give away the news that you're going to see from him himself when we find out about how hurt he actually was last year, so you'll get that in a second. But it's interesting to me, Jonesy, to look at him and to think about a guy that could very easily, and I don't mean this negatively, go from being a starter to being a guy that might be well down in the rotation. And I'd say that's a good thing for the team overall. It might not be great for Khem individually, but I think he's the type of guy at this stage of his career, plus knowing the type of person that he is, I don't think he's going to care if he's going from 20 minutes to 12 minutes or if the production in terms of the numbers go down, if it equates to a better team and a better result for the team and going further in the postseason. And I think that's very well what it could be, not just for Khem, but for a lot of guys on this team where you're taking a bit less of a role because the team has truly improved that much and the depth is greater than it was last season.
It's about patience for Khem Birch and seeing where he fits in. Let's hear from Khem Birch.
What was your offseason like then if you just kind of rehab? I mean, we saw you kind of basketball year, like getting shots up and things like that.
That's all I was doing, just getting shots up, just spending time with my family and try to rehab it. That's it.
So how important is this time for you now?
It was very important, but the good thing is that we have so much good guys on this team that, you know, I don't really need to play that many minutes or anything. I can just slowly come back and earn my minutes, so I'm not really worried about that.
Pascal's been, sorry, go on.
So you got to be patient then.
Oh yeah, for sure. Patience has been the key to my whole career, so I'm not really worried about it. I'd rather, you know, get 100% than be how I played last year. So. Yeah.
Pascal's been talking about raising the bar for himself. Obviously, you guys leaned on him a lot last year. What do you think is the key to sort of unlocking the next phase of his growth?
Pascal?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, Pascal is one of the hardest workers I've ever seen, ever. I don't even think he wakes up in the morning. I don't think he eats breakfast or stretches. He just works out for an hour before practices, and then works out like another hour after practice. I've never seen anything like it, so I think he's going to be very special coming soon. You know, this is going to be a really good year for him.
We thank Eric Smith for his thoughts. Day 3 of Toronto Raptors training camp at UVic as they get set to break camp on Friday, head for Edmonton Saturday with the first preseason game Sunday, October 2nd against the Utah Jazz. Paul Jones here, and one of the guys you've seen on social media, not by his accord, but from all the players that he works with and in the gym, is Rico Hines. He's a new assistant coach, new to the Toronto Raptors, but very familiar in the player development world around the NBA. He's worked with numerous players, most of which famous for the Toronto people is Pascal Siakam. He helped Pascal go from what some people thought may be an undrafted player to a very late first-round pick that the Raptors grabbed at 27. And the rest is history. He's here in Toronto right now, or in Victoria at least, with the team to work with the Raptors over the course of the year. Let's hear from Rico Hines.
What made coming to Toronto, something that you wanted to do and sign on for?
Yeah, just the organization as a whole. You know what I mean? They're really big in player development, and that's something that I'm big into. And the whole culture that they've built here over the years, I wanted to be a part of it. You know, I've been fortunate enough over the past few years to spend a lot of time with them in the summers, and I had a great relationship with the whole staff from the top of the organization to all the coaches to everybody here. So I already had a good rapport with them, and I always wanted to be a part of it, and that's what made it really special for me to come here.
How does what you do in terms of player development and the way they do things, how are they different and how do they complement each other?
Well, no, I think it complements. I think it fits like a glove. You know what I mean? And here's why: is because they believe in hard work, they believe in development, they believe in doing everything in house, and I'm a big fan of that. You know, it's all about hard work and not skipping a step. We always talk about not skipping any steps and having a great plan all summer. And even throughout the season, having a plan as well, and I think I fit well with that because I'm all in on it. You know, I'm all in on it. I have a lot of passion for it, and I have a great relationship with a lot of the guys already, and it was just easy. It was an easy transition for me.
When players, with the game changing, where players have to do so much. Shoot, dribble, pass. How has development changed?
Well, I think the game is always changing. That's a good question. I think the game is always changing, but the fundamentals stay the same. The fundamentals of basketball never change. So all you do is just try to keep up with how the game is changing from a technical standpoint. But, you know, those things that you just talked about, shoot, pass, dribble, that never changes. All right, you might have to rep something up, rep something more, rep something less, but the fundamentals of basketball never change. You just have to have a vivid basketball imagination. You know,
put it all into one package into a player, right?
Package, and at the same time, make that fit to what the team wants and needs. You know what I mean? You don't never want to veer off from the ultimate goal, which is always trying to win. So it always has to fit in to what your head coach and what your organization wants, with what Nate and Masai want, Nick and Masai wants. Fit everything in that into one box. That's it.
So that's it for day 3 of training camp here at the University of Victoria. The Raptors have one more day here where they have a practice in the morning and a game in the evening. It's an inter-squad game, a scrimmage game that will take place at the Save-On Food Center. Saturday is a travel day. Sunday, the preseason kicks off as they take on the Utah Jazz in Edmonton. You can see that game on Sportsnet, the Raptors in Utah, the Little Lifter for the preseason. For Travis behind the camera and our editor, Evan, I'm Paul Jones saying thank you for watching us here on Raptors Today.